From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story for today. Microsoft has fired 2 employees for participating in a vigil at its Redmond, Washington campus to honor Palestinians killed in Gaza. The workers are part of a coalition called No Azure for Apartheid. Azure is a cloud-based computing platform and a group of cloud services offered by Microsoft. The workers who were terminated were protesting the company's sale of the technology to the Israeli government. Microsoft confirmed the firings on Friday. One of them, dismissed employees, Abdul Muhammad, expressed disappointment. He said Microsoft has failed to provide a space for grieving members of the community. Another fired employee, Hussam Nasser, emphasized that the vigil aimed to highlight what he called the Palestinian genocide and Microsoft's role in it. The firings have sparked criticism, especially after a watchdog group announced Nasser's firing on social media before he received official notice from Microsoft. The incident follows Google's previous dismissal of 50 employees over similar protests regarding its technology's use in Israel's war on Gaza. A senior United Nations relief official is warning that the entire population of northern Gaza is in imminent danger due to Israel's ongoing military operations. Acting Under Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator Joyce Stuya is calling for an immediate halt to Israel's war in Gaza, citing severe humanitarian violations. Stuya reports that hospitals have been targeted and healthcare workers detained. She notes that Israel has also destroyed shelters and blocked first responders from rescuing people trapped under rubble. Stuya says such blatant disregard for basic humanity and for the laws of war must stop. The alarming announcement follows the Israeli military's withdrawal from Kamala Hospital in Beit Lahia, a critical medical facility for 2/3 of northern Gaza's residents. Hospital officials allege that Israeli troops opened fire inside the medical facility, detained staff members, and destroyed vital medications. Estimates suggest that hundreds have been killed and tens of thousands displaced since Israel's war began. The United Nations is calling for an end to actions that threaten civilian lives and hinder humanitarian efforts. Several prominent Muslim leaders in Michigan have publicly endorsed Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump at a recent rally in the city of Novi, citing his commitment to ending wars. Imam Bilal al-Zuhairi said that Muslims stand with Trump because he promises peace and not war. Trump has affirmed that Muslim and Arab voters desire an end to ongoing wars, particularly in the Middle East. The endorsement marks a shift in Michigan's Muslim community, which has traditionally favored Democratic presidential candidates. Biden defeated Trump in Michigan in the 2020 presidential race by a margin of just over 150,000 votes. Observers say Muslim Americans in the swing state have become increasingly disillusioned with President Joe Biden's support for Israel amid rising civilian casualties in Israel's war on Gaza. The growing sentiment is also evident in more than 100,000 Democratic voters choosing uncommitted in Michigan's primary. This was in protest to Biden's ongoing support for Israel in its war, which has killed thousands of children and civilians. With approximately 300,000 Americans of Middle Eastern and North African descent in Michigan, the upcoming presidential election on November 5th could see a notable shift in voting patterns. In a powerful show of unity, Bishop William Barber II joined over 1,000 faith leaders in endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris for president, opposing Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. Barber, co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, emphasized the need to confront the dangerous politics of Trump and his supporters, which he argues threaten democracy and civilization. He criticized Trump for promoting policies that benefit the wealthy, spreading misinformation, and endorsing violence. In contrast, Barber praised Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz for their commitment to economic justice, healthcare access, and addressing the climate crisis. Barber said there is no middle ground when it comes to fascism. He believes the Harris administration would foster better diplomatic relations, especially regarding Israel's war on Gaza. This endorsement underscores a call for collective action and a hope for a better future. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump electrified a crowd of nearly 20,000 at Madison Square Gardens in New York, urging Americans to reclaim their future. This will be America's new golden age, he declared, criticizing Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden. In his usual rhetoric, he said, "Kamala, you're fired. You have destroyed our country." Trump also took a jab at Harris's teleprompter mishap during a recent speech, saying no matter how good your people are that operate this machinery, it's going to break. The rally drew controversy when comedian Tony Hinchcliffe made derogatory remarks about Puerto Rico, sparking backlash from Florida Republican Representative Maria Elvira Salazar, who called the comment racist and unrepresentative of GOP values. She emphasized the need to honor Puerto Rico's contributions, including their service in Vietnam, urging education over mockery. 13 former Trump administration officials have voiced their support for ex-White House Chief of Staff John Kelly after he described the ex-president as exhibiting fascist tendencies. In a letter, the officials, all lifelong Republicans, praised Kelly for prioritizing the country over party and emphasized the urgency of his warnings. They expressed that Trump's alleged admiration for dictators, including Hitler, and his disdain for the U.S. Constitution were deeply concerning. Kelly, who served as Trump's longest-tenured chief of staff, underscored that Trump preferred authoritarian rule and could misuse the military against domestic opponents. Trump's campaign responded negatively to Kelly's claims. Meanwhile, Trump's Democratic opponent, Kamala Harris, has highlighted these criticisms, warning that a second Trump term could be disastrous for democracy. More than 80 American Nobel Prize winners in physics, chemistry, medicine, and economics have also signed an open letter endorsing Harris for president, which was published on Thursday by the New York Times. With just days until the election, polls show Trump and Harris in a dead heat, each garnering 47% support. Netflix faces backlash over the removal of Palestinian films. Details come after the break. Stay tuned, and we will be right back. Welcome back. Netflix is under fire for pulling 19 films from its Palestine category, prompting widespread criticism from users and rights advocates. In mid-October, viewers noticed the significant absence of Palestinian content, leading to suspicions that pressure from pro-Israel groups influenced the decision. Rights organization Freedom Forward has expressed deep concern, saying Netflix has deleted almost all of its Palestinian films. The organization warns that this move further marginalizes Palestinian voices amid Israel's ongoing war on Gaza. In response, Netflix explained that the removal was due to the expiration of licenses for the Palestinian Stories collection, which was launched in October 2021. The streaming giant stressed its commitment to showcasing diverse narratives. However, critics argue that Netflix should prioritize amplifying Palestinian stories during these critical times. Al Jazeera reports that over 6,000 military flights originating from Western nations have landed in Israel in 1 year, facilitating the transportation of arms and supplies. Using open-source flight data, defense editor Alex Gatopoulos reveals the significant military assistance provided to Israel by Western nations. The investigation details the establishment of an air bridge that has played a crucial role in supporting Israel's ongoing war in Gaza and its operations extending into Lebanon. Notably, reconnaissance missions have predominantly come from the UK, with Israel conducting only 20% of the 1,600 surveillance operations reported. Key European bases in countries such as the UK, Germany, Italy, Cyprus, and Greece have reportedly served as launching points for these flights. Analysts say this highlights the extensive network of support aiding Israel in its military efforts. They note that the significant Western involvement raises important questions about international military assistance and its implications for regional stability. Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 53 Palestinians in Gaza over the last 24 hours, including 5 journalists. This brings the total number of journalists killed since the start of the conflict to 182. Most killings occurred in the Al Shati refugee camp, when an airstrike hit a school sheltering displaced families. Footage circulated on Palestinian media showed people rushing to the bomb site to help evacuate the casualties. 20 people were killed following an airstrike on houses in Jabalia, the largest of Gaza's 8 historic refugee camps. Reports indicate that Israel's 3-week-long military actions have killed over 1,000 people in northern Gaza, with half of the population forced to flee and the other half trapped without essential resources. In Lebanon, the death toll from Israeli attacks has reached 2,672, with 21 casualties reported on Saturday alone. The escalating violence has prompted Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to propose a 2-day ceasefire for the exchange of prisoners, a plan rejected by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has said that while Tehran is not seeking war, it is prepared to respond appropriately to Israeli actions. Israel has killed at least 42,924 people and wounded 100,833 in its war on Gaza since October of last year. An estimated 1,139 people were killed in Israel during the Hamas-led attacks, and more than 200 were taken captive. Israel also faces a genocide case at the International Court of Justice for its war and violence in Gaza. Pakistan observed the Day of Solidarity on Sunday, marking 77 years since the onset of the Kashmir dispute. Special prayers were held in mosques nationwide for Kashmiris who have lost their lives. Major cities like Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, Peshawar, and Muzaffarabad in Pakistan-administered Kashmir witnessed rallies led by political and human rights activists, protesting what they describe as India's illegal occupation of Jammu and Kashmir. In Muzaffarabad, thousands gathered, including Prime Minister Anwar al-Haq, to express solidarity. Pakistani President Asif Zardari and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif reaffirmed the country's unwavering support for Kashmiris, emphasizing their right to self-determination. Sharif criticized India for revoking Kashmir's special status in August 2019, accusing it of undermining the region's disputed status. The day symbolizes the deep-rooted tensions between Pakistan and India over Kashmir, a territory both countries claim yet administer separately. Indian troops positioned themselves in Kashmir's largest city, Srinagar, on October 27, 1947, after India and Pakistan gained their independence from British colonial rule. The anniversary of this Indian action is observed by Pakistanis and Kashmiris as Black Day, while India commemorates it as Accession Day. A national court in Bangladesh has issued arrest warrants for 17 police officers, including the former chief of the capital Dhaka's Metropolitan Police, over charges of mass killings and crimes against humanity. The International Crimes Tribunal has found preliminary evidence of genocide against the accused. Warrants have also been sued for 20 former ministers and officials from ex-Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government, linked to violent clashes during student-led protests. These killed over 700 people and injured thousands of others. The tribunal has mandated that the accused appear in court by November 20th. This follows a prior warrant for Hasina and 46 of her top officials. Observers say it highlights a broader crackdown on alleged atrocities committed during the protests, which called for political reform and accountability. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum.